is heightened, like there's more at stake, more to be worried about. At WNYC, we're keeping up cool. We're looking at the issues from every angle, and we listen to you. Join us for WNYC Election Coverage 2016, from morning edition to all things considered. Don't make a single as you go. WNYC is supported by General Clinton Decorating Center, whose newest location is Soho on the corner of Thompson and Green Streets is now open. Featuring Benjamin Moore and Hunter Douglas. More at Jarvik.com. The full things considered on WNYC, I'm Danny Floyd. Hillary Clinton is facing more allegations of impropriety over her private email server and her failure to turn over all of her emails to government lawyers. But now former presidential contender and New Jersey Governor Chris Christie has some email problems of his own. New documents from Christie's Bridgegate lawyers suggest there is still a cell phone belonging to the New Jersey governor that is missing also. Matt Katz on New Jersey Public Radio joins us now by Skype to talk about these latest revelations in the Bridgegate case. Hey, Matt.
Hi there, Jamie.
So the Bridgegate scandal broke 2.5 years ago with the now infamous disclosure of that email sent by Christie's deputy chief of staff, time for traffic problems in Fort Lee. And ever since, Christie has said he's turned over everything he has to the multiple investigations, including his personal and government emails. Now, Matt, it sounds like that might not be true. Who's alleging that?
Christie's own lawyers, actually. This week they filed a brief in the Bridgegate case. They said that after Christie's office was subpoenaed in Bridgegate, they went through his government email and his personal email to see if there was anything in there about the link closures, and then they were supposed to turn that over. But they now admit that they skipped over a personal email account where the sender was listed as Chris and Mary Pat Christie because they didn't think it was government related. Lots of folks in Trenton know that Christie used an email account where the sender was Chris and Mary Pat Christie all the time for government work. And not only did he use it for government work, we now find out, but he also used it for Bridgegate. We have now seen an email that Christie sent about the lane closures to his closest friend in the administration, the guy who ran the Port Authority, David Sampson, and that email came from this Chris and Mary Pat Christie account, and that was never turned over to the feds.
But the case is already in the trial phase. How does this come out now?
The defendants, Bill Baroni and Bridget Ann Kelly, are pressing for documents to show people higher up in the Christie administration were involved, and therefore they shouldn't be blamed. And their lawyers are the ones that found this Chris and Mary Pat email. They are accusing Christie's lawyers from the Gibson Dunn law firm of hiding and destroying evidence, including emails like this.
Wait, are they hiding and destroying evidence?
After 2.5 years, after a digital forensics firm supposedly reviewed everything, they are only now revealing that this personal email account existed, and they also seem to be dodging a central question by saying there was nothing in the emails that was, quote, contemporaneous to the lane realignment. That can mean just during the 5 days of the traffic jam and not the months that followed. So Christie's lawyers really want to keep the focus on the dates of the crime itself, not any possible cover-up that would have happened after. And keep in mind that these are attorneys hired to conduct an independent investigation, and they've been paid so far more than $13 million by taxpayers.
It's striking that these revelations are coming out on the same day new emails were released from Hillary Clinton's private email server. Have I got that right?
Yep, there's incredible parallels here. In both cases, you have politicians using personal email servers or accounts to apparently get around public disclosure, and then when forced by investigators because of unrelated controversy, Bridgegate or Benghazi, they turn over some emails, but not all. Just today, it was revealed that dozens of emails related to Clinton's duties as Secretary of State were not previously turned over by her lawyers. And it's ironic because Christie repeatedly went after Clinton for this when he was a presidential candidate. He was called out on maybe he was being hypocritical, but he insisted that unlike her, even though he had a private email account, he didn't do government business on it. We now know that is not true. And then also today, also kind of ironically, Donald Trump sent out a fundraising email using Christie's political email list. It came from info@chrischristie.com, and in it, Trump calls Clinton crooked, and he actually refers to her illegal email server. The subject line was, "You need to read this regarding the Hillary indictment."
What about the missing Chris Christie cell phone?
This is the cell phone that he used back in the fall of 2013 when the lane closures happened, and no one knows where it is. Christie said he turned it over to investigators in 2014 after Bridgegate broke and never saw it again. The feds say they don't have it. And now Christie's lawyers are saying they don't have it either. They said they went through it, they got the information they needed in order to respond to the criminal subpoena, they handed that to the feds, and then they gave the phone back to Christie. Today, Christie was asked about the whereabouts of his missing cell phone at a press conference, and as you can hear here, he turned around and walked away.
Where's your cell phone from Bridgegate?
Yeah.
That's it. I guess the governor doesn't want to talk about it. All right, the trial is coming up. What's next?
Trial's coming up in September, and we're also waiting on a list of unindicted co-conspirators who were involved in the lane closure scheme but were not charged. We're going to see if a federal appellate court releases that list any day now.
All right, that's WNYC's Matt Katz. Thanks so much, Matt.
Thanks, Jamie.
The U.S. and Britain have shared a special relationship for a long time, and the White House often relies on the UK to help get European support in security, trade, or foreign policy issues. President Obama recently spoke to NPR about the concerns that Britain's vote to leave the EU has raised.
There's been a little bit of hysteria post-Brexit vote, as if somehow NATO's gone, and the transatlantic alliance is dissolving, and every country's rushing off to its own corner. That's not what's happening.
But NPR's Jackie Northam says Britain's role as a gateway to Europe will change, and the U.S. needs to find another best friend on the European continent.
From the moment it became clear Britain would be leaving the European Union, the Obama administration has been effusive in emphasizing the partnership between the two nations. Secretary of State John Kerry traveled to London to underscore what he called an unbreakable bond.
And I want to make it clear that at this moment of challenge, the United States of America knows it could not ask for a better friend and ally than the United Kingdom.
The upheaval over Brexit comes at a critical juncture. The White House is trying to hammer out a multi-billion-dollar transatlantic trade deal, and the U.S. is trying to keep a check on Russian aggression. Michelle Egan at the Wilson Center says some EU members are starting to wobble over sanctions they imposed on Russia because of its actions in Ukraine. Egan says the U.S. may now find it more difficult to keep the sanctions in place.
The US and the UK have been really resolute on sanctions towards Russia because of Ukraine, and now they may be sort of a less significant partner.
The Brexit decision drives home the cold, hard fact that the UK is unlikely to have that kind of clout with the EU again. The US now needs to look elsewhere in Europe.
Germany has kind of emerged as the de facto leader.
Matthias Matthies at the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies says the U.S. had already been gravitating toward Germany.
You've had the Euro crisis, where Germany was at the wheel. The crisis over Ukraine with Russia, German diplomacy was at the heart of this. And then the refugee crisis, the fallout of the Syria conflict. Again, here you've seen Germany take the lead.
The relationship between Washington and Berlin took a bit of a hit in 2013 when Germany discovered the U.S. had been eavesdropping on Chancellor Angela Merkel and several of her ministers. But Germany's ambassador to the U.S., Peter Wittig, says relations now are rock solid.
We have extraordinarily close relations on a government-to-government level. There's very little daylight in all the major issues that we are facing. But it will certainly intensify as the management of that Brexit is unfolding.
The UK may lose its special status as a bridge to the European Union, but Matthias Matthies, the analyst at Johns Hopkins, says Britain will continue to be a leading partner for the US when it comes to intelligence.
The intelligence cooperation between MI6 and the CIA is very close, internally as well between FBI and MI5. And these are links that have been established since World War II and are ongoing.
Matthies says Britain's departure from the EU may actually help strengthen NATO, because the UK may want to show it's still very much part of the Western Alliance. But the UK is expected to pay a hefty economic price because it's leaving the EU, and questions remain about how it'll be able to afford to beef up its military. Jackie Northam, NPR News.
This program is brought to you in part by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Support for NPR comes from member stations and from Atlassian, maker of collaboration software Jira, Confluence, HipChat, and Bitbucket. Atlassian works to help teams across industries ascend to new heights to create what's next at Atlassian.com. Atlassian, team up. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, dedicated to the belief that all lives have equal value and working with partners to help envision a world where every person has the opportunity to live a healthy, productive life at gatesfoundation.org. And Honda, maker of the restyled 2017 Accord Hybrid with 212 horsepower and a 49 mile per gallon EPA city rating. Available now. Learn more at accord.honda.com.
The Moth Radio Hour next on 93.9 FM. On Point is on AM 820. Whistleblower Mark Edwards uncovered the dangerous lead levels in Flint, Michigan's water supply last year, but not everyone believed him. Tomorrow on Morning Edition, how he worked with the community to convince people to listen. Join us for this story and all the information you need to start your day. Tomorrow on Morning Edition, 79 degrees. Just a few clouds right now. Mostly clear tonight, 68 the low. Sunny near 85 tomorrow, and Friday a chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms, about 81 for a high Friday. Then those showers and thunderstorms become likely into Friday evening. The weekend, Saturday and Sunday, sunny and 83. It's 8 o'clock.
This is WNYC, FM, HD, and AM New York.
So she gets this dog, it's called a Brussels Griffon. I don't know if you ever heard of it. I never heard of it. It's actually not a Brussels Griffon, it's a Brussels Griffon. That's how you're supposed to say it. It's a Brussels Griffon. And Griffon, I think, is French for, like, very expensive dog.
Next up, the Moth Radio Hour. True stories told before a live audience. I'm Meg Bowles, and in this hour, we bring you stories of family pets, perfect parenting, and adventures in dumpster diving.
One night, we were digging around in the dumpster, and we heard someone shout from behind, "Hey!" We froze. Eventually, we turned around, and there's this guy shining a flashlight on us, wearing his Trader Joe's Hawaiian shirt. And he said, "What are you doing?"
That's coming up next on the Moth Radio Hour from the Public Radio Exchange, prx.org. Right after this.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. Turkey's state-run news agency now says the death toll following yesterday's terror attack at Istanbul's main airport has risen to 42. While no one has yet claimed responsibility, authorities there are increasingly looking at the Islamic State. NPR's Dina Temple-Raskin reports recent information is also pointing in that direction.
There have been intelligence reports and chatter that ISIS had forward deployed 24 operatives to Turkey late last month. And that's one of the reasons why security alerts went up around Europe, because they've been expecting a series of summer attacks on vacationers. And there was also a concern that ISIS was going to move these operatives to Turkey to allow them to move on to Europe and maybe attack Turkey as well. So the Turkish authorities were sort of bracing for something to happen.
Officials say 3 suicide attackers opened fire, then blew themselves up at busy Ataturk airport. A cockpit voice recorder recovered from the wreckage of a downed Egypt Air jet is still being repaired, but officials say they have successfully downloaded data from the crashed plane's flight data recorder. They say preliminary information shows it is consistent with messages sent from the doomed plane about laboratory and avionics smoke. Recovered wreckage from the plane showed signs of high-temperature damage and soot. The crash may claim the lives of all 66 people on board. President Obama disputed the idea Donald Trump is running a populist-style campaign. NPR's Scott Horsley reports Obama criticized the Republican presidential hopeful during a news conference with his counterparts from Canada and Mexico.
Obama spoke bluntly about Donald Trump, arguing the billionaire businessman has never shown any regard for workers or fought on behalf of social justice. Obama told reporters Trump should not be labeled a populist just because he's made controversial statements challenging immigrants or Muslims.
That's nativism or xenophobia. Or worse. That's just cynicism.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto also expressed reservations about Trump, though both promised to work with whomever American voters choose as their next president. Scott Horsley, NPR News,
Washington. Senate lawmakers have signed off on a bill that would provide assistance to Puerto Rico, the vote coming just 2 days before the island was due to default on